Today, you're going to learn how to read SAT passages really fast. Like, you're going to be able to read any SAT passage in about a minute, and this is the best part, still get all the questions right. So I'm going to show you how it works, and then we'll do a few examples. I also have a free gift for you. It's a 2-week study course designed to raise your SAT score 50 points. It's got lessons, practice tests, everything you need. So if you're looking to raise your score fast, this is for you. You can sign up for free right down in the description. So people who score over 700 on the verbal on the SAT read passages very fast. They read for very specific information, and crucially, they don't read very much at all, but they still get all the questions right, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So as you read the passage, you have two goals. You want to exit the passage with a very good understanding of the main points and a much less good understanding of the details. And the reason is the right answers almost always align very closely with the main points of the passage or the paragraph. So understanding the main points tends to make the right answers jump out at you very quickly. Trying to read and understand everything in the passage is what they're hoping you'll do. What happens is you get bogged down in all the details, and that leads to confusion and hesitancy, and that makes it a lot harder to spot the right answers. So, how can you make sure that you're picking out all the important stuff you need to get the answers right and leaving all the junk behind? That's a great question, and I'm going to show you how to do it. At the beginning and the end of the passage, I want you to read more slowly, and I want you to read for very specific information. I want you to write down in just a few words the answers to these 4 questions. What is the passage about? What is the author's point of view, or what does the author think about the subject? Are there other points of view? Now, there aren't always, but it's important to catch this because you know for sure the test will try and get you to confuse the author's point of view with any other points of view. And finally, what is the tone? How argumentative is the passage? Or is it just neutrally explaining stuff? For example, if the passage is about huge amounts of plastic garbage in the Pacific, is the author saying that that's a terrible thing? Or is the author simply explaining how the garbage ended up in the ocean? So that's what you do with the beginning and the end. Read more slowly and jot down your answers to the 4 questions. In the middle of the passage, we want you to read very, very quickly, just skim actually, and employ the fine art of blah, blah, blahing around stuff. Which stuff? Well, you want to quickly skim or blah, blah, blah over examples, because examples, they don't give us any information about the main point of the passage. All that examples ever do is support whatever the main point of the paragraph is. Also, quickly move through or blah, blah, blah your way past description and jargon. Again, that stuff's not providing any insight into the main points of the paragraph. What you want to pay attention to are single declarative sentences, especially ones that seem like conclusions. We're looking for words like finally, or thus, or therefore, or so now we know. We're looking for any sentence that gives us some understanding of what the author thinks. And frankly, lots of times, especially in science passages, they tend to be about the only sentences you can actually understand. Now, all this stuff is frankly harder to talk about and describe than it is to actually do. So let's just jump in with an example. Okay, what I'd like you to do is pause the video and just take a minute and read this passage. And when you're done, restart the video and I'll show you how I'd go through it if it were a passage on the test. Okay, go ahead and pause, take a sec, and read the passage. Okay, so this is how I would read it. For aspiring video tech entrepreneurs and game designers, great start. I understand all those words. The unprecedented demand-driven pressures of the current microeconomy. No, not reading any of that. I don't understand it. The worst market in history for buying graphic cards. That I understand. My guess is what's coming next is going to be a lot of description and a lot of examples on why this market is so bad for graphic cards. But let's read. As the cryptocurrency craze has escalated, has driven a proliferation of blockchain products. Oh my gosh. New York and minting their own cryptocurrencies, classic demand models of marginal. No, we are not reading any of that. We are blah, blah, blahing through that. And we are looking for some word, some sentence that is going to give us some idea of what the author's conclusion actually is. And we get 2 great words. The result. That is awesome. What is the result? The result is that game designers are increasingly competing with cryptocurrency miners for the latest and most advanced graphic software. Great, terrific. That I understood. That was really helpful. My guess is the next stuff that's coming is going to be examples of how they're competing with the miners for the software and the underlying microeconomic factors. Are you kidding me? There's no way we're reading this. Again, we are reading for a single declarative sentence, some conclusion-y kind of sentence that's going to tell us what the author thinks, and we get one. Predictably. It's a great word. Predictably, there is a GPU shortage, which is driving up prices for graphic cards out of crisis levels and prices that are beyond absurd. Great, I understand that. My guess is the next sentence is going to be an example of how expensive graphic cards are, and it's right. We don't care about examples. And then we always slow down at the end as well. The escalation in prices for CPUs is unacceptable and incredibly damaging to the gaming and video industry, which relies on creative people using the best software to drive innovation. Boy, that's a great sentence. In fact, that sounds like the conclusion. That sounds like the author's point of view. Okay, let's just read this without all of the confusing red stuff, and let's see what we've got. So we have, for aspiring video tech entrepreneurs and game designers, this is the worst market in history for buying graphic cards. Okay, the result is that game designers are increasingly competing with cryptocurrency miners for the latest, most advanced graphic software. So there's a GPU shortage, which is driving up prices to crisis levels. And this escalation in prices is unacceptable and damaging to the gaming and video industry, which relies on creative people using the best software to drive innovation. Wow. That tells a very, very clean and understandable story. In fact, you understand what the passage is about much, much, much more clearly than if you would have tried to read the entire passage and get bogged down in all of these details. So we only read and paid attention to the stuff highlighted in yellow, which means we only read maybe 30 or 40% of the passage, which made us very fast through the passage, and we got a much clearer understanding of what the passage was actually about. So we're going to be able to easily pull out the answers to the first 4 questions and write down the main points of the middle section. So what is this about? It's about bad market for GPUs. They're really expensive. The author's point of view: wow, expensive GPUs, that's bad. It hurts innovation in the video industry. Are there other points of view? Is there anyone who thinks that high prices are good? No. What is the tone? The tone's actually argumentative. He uses really strong language. The escalation in prices is unacceptable and incredibly damaging. Okay, and what do we pull out of the middle? The middle, we have competition with crypto miners. That's driving demand up, and that's driving price up. And just by following this, kind of method, what you're left with is a very, very succinct summary of the main points of the paragraph. Okay, this is very, very nice work. What I want to do next is take another example, and after we do that, we're actually going to answer some questions so you can see how this technique sets you up to answering questions really, really fast and really easily. Okay, so let's try this one, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to stop the video and you're going to take a minute to read the passage, and then what I want you to do is try your hand at writing down the answers to the 4 questions and then pick out the main points of the middle paragraphs. Now, if the middle paragraphs get super technical and you're not really sure what the main point is, don't worry about it. Just jot down what type of information we'd find in the paragraph. Oftentimes, I just read the first sentence or 2. The idea is that you want to know where to find information if you're asked about it. Now, you don't need to try and wade through those middle paragraphs and try to understand everything. In fact, trying to understand an entire passage is a slow, sure, standardized death. Okay, so stop the video, do your best, and when you come back, I'll show you how I read it. I know, right? I didn't understand any of that passage either, but remember, not understanding the passage is no excuse for not getting all the questions right, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so this is how I read it. And what you're going to see is mostly I just stuck to the stuff that I could actually understand, which, as it turns out, isn't very much, but it's more than enough to understand what the main points of the passage are, and importantly, to get all of the questions right. All right, so the Big Bang model postulates the universe was created in a fireball between 10 and 20 billion years ago. Okay, I actually understand that sentence. The model attempts to reconstruct the behavior of general relativity elements. Okay, I don't understand any of that. And then we get matching these claims with observations of the universe today shows its validity. Okay, I understand that. Next paragraph. The Big Bang produced a universe made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium. Wow, surprisingly, I understood that full sentence. For the first few seconds of the universe's existence, its temperature was so high, well, 10 billion degrees, of energetic electron, neutrinos and positron. I don't understand any of that. So they lost me after 10 billion degrees, and that's okay. I am not reading the rest of that paragraph. I'm just going to skim over it, blah, blah, blah over it. All right, next paragraph. After a few minutes, the temperature of the universe fell. I understand that, to about 1 billion degrees. Cool enough, okay, for these protons and neutrons to bond and form nuclei. Deuterons were formed. Okay, I'm not understanding any of that. I understand most of the first half of the first sentence. Okay, got it. This universe starts to cool down. All right, what about the fourth paragraph? Because only one neutron was formed, so 7 protons, 7/6 of all protons remains. Oh my gosh. So remaining protons, hydrogen nuclei, 1 proton each. Nope, 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 nope. This simple prediction matches observations very well. That sentence I understand. And I also see that that's very, very similar to the sentence in the first paragraph where matching these claims with observations of the universe today shows its validity. So I'm guessing that's a pretty important point. All right. Okay, so the stuff in yellow is the stuff we actually read, and it's not very much. We may have read maybe 20% of this thing, but as you're going to find, it is more than enough to answer the 4 questions and get all of the questions right that they ask you. All right, well, what is this about? What's about the Big Bang model? What's the author's point of view? What does the author think about the Big Bang model? Well, the Big Bang model he thinks is true because observations match claims. Are there other points of view? Are there people out there who don't think the Big Bang model is true? No, there's not. And what is the tone? Well, I call the tone like persuasive. It's not nearly as argumentative as the last passage, but I think the author would like to persuade you that the Big Bang model is true. All right, well, what about those middle paragraphs? Well, paragraph 2 we know is about the first few seconds of the universe, something about hydrogen and helium, and we know it's really hot. What about paragraph 3? Paragraph 3 is about the first few minutes of the universe, and we know that things get cooler. And what about paragraph 4? Paragraph 4 again reiterates this idea that predictions match observations. And with this outline of the passage, we can get all the questions right. Okay, let's try this question. The author is primarily concerned with. Anytime you get a question like the author is primarily concerned with, or what is the main point of the entire passage, the correct answer will be the answer choice that most closely matches what you wrote down in your answers to the first 4 questions. So we're looking for something about a Big Bang model and something about observations matching claims. All right, well, let's go through each one. Explaining how the evolution of the universe is incompatible with the Big Bang model. No, we know that's not true. The author actually believes in the Big Bang model. B, chronicling the events that followed the creation of matter by the Big Bang. B is a classic distractor. It's wrong. Yes, the passage does talk some about what happened in the first few seconds and few minutes of the Big Bang, but did we write any of that down when we answered our first 4 questions? No, the main point that we wrote down is that the author believes that the Big Bang is correct because predictions match observations. Stick to that. Do not let the test answers push you around or make you change your mind. You've already done the analysis. You've already figured out what the main point is, and you have written it down. You know the author's main point of view is about observations matching predictions. The test needs to adhere to your analysis, not the other way around. So B is wrong. C, explaining how helium was formed in the, no, we never wrote down anything about helium. D, illustrating propositions of a model and showing how they have been supported by observation. Oh, that's interesting. Are we talking about a model? Yeah, we wrote down Big Bang model. And are we talking about things supported by observations? Yeah, observations match claims. D is pretty close to what we wrote down. That's a maybe. What about E? showing how the ratios of protons and neutrons, no. We never wrote down protons and neutrons. The one that is closest to what we wrote down is answer choice D. Good job. Let's try another question. In the fourth paragraph, the author introduces information about the Big Bang model's prediction for the molecular composition of the universe in order to. Okay, so we know for sure that evidence and data always supports the main point of the paragraph. So what the question is really asking you is, what is the main point of that fourth paragraph? What is this data supporting? What main point is the author supporting with this data? Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to pick out what the main point of the fourth paragraph is, and we actually already wrote it down, and it's highlighted in yellow here. We have the simple prediction matches observations very well. And what does it mean when the predictions match observations? Well, it means that the Big Bang is valid. All right, so we need something about predictions, matching observations, and the Big Bang being a valid theory. Let's see if we get it. A, obviate, which means I think of it as to obliviate, the claim that 6/7 of all protons remain at. No, it's just not about that. It's something about predictions, matching observations, and the Big Bang's correct. Showing that the remaining 1/4 of the total mass. No, provide evidence for the validity of the Big Bang model. It's pretty much right on top of what we said paragraph 4 is about. Describe the means by which remaining protons form hydronuclide. No. Predict the results of the Big Bang. Tempting, but no. The whole idea of the predictions matching observations is that shows that the Big Bang is valid. It's not trying to predict the results of the Big Bang. So our answer choice is C. Good job. Let's try another one. According to the passage, which of the following was true during the first few seconds of the universe's existence? We actually like this question quite a bit because it points us to a very specific spot in the reading. We know for sure it's paragraph 2 because it says that in paragraph 2, but even more importantly, we wrote down that the second paragraph was about the first few seconds, so we know for sure the answer is going to be in that second paragraph. Okay, we have that second paragraph kind of blown up there over to the right, and I'm noticing that this is a Roman numeral type question, and we love Roman numeral type questions because it gives us a shortcut. What I want you to do is take a look at the answer choices and then ask yourself which Roman numeral appears most often in the answer choices, and the answer is Roman numeral number 3. Roman numeral number 3 is an answer choice C, D, and E. So that's the one we're going to go after first, and we're going to hope that it's wrong, because if it is, then we get to cross out C, D, and E. Okay, so Roman numeral number 3 says vast numbers of subatomic particles rapidly transmuted into other types of particles. Okay, what does that mean in our own words? It means particles are changing into other particles. Okay, let's see if we get anything like that in the paragraph, and I'm reading. Oh, shoot. Subatomic particles constantly transformed into one another. Okay, yep. So that means that answer choice 3 is in fact correct. But we do get to cross off answer choice A and answer choice B. Okay, so now we look at C, D, and E and we ask ourselves which Roman numeral appears most often, and it's Roman numeral number 2, so we'll go after that one next. The temperature was not high enough to allow for the formation of deuterons. Okay. Reading, you know what? I don't think that's correct for 2 reasons. First of all, it says that it was really, really hot. And the second thing is, I don't see the word deuterons anywhere in this passage at all. And we know for sure that the answer to the question must be in paragraph 2 because we know for sure we're talking about the first few seconds. That's what they said, the first few seconds. So it must be in paragraph 2. Deuterons aren't even mentioned in paragraph 2. That means Roman numeral number 2 cannot be right. So that knocks out D and E. That means our answer is C. Okay, very nicely done. Okay, so the key takeaways, your goal after you're done reading a reading comp passage is to have a very good understanding of the main points and a much less good understanding of the details. Okay, and how do we do that? We read a little bit more slowly at the beginning and the end, and we jot down our answer to the 4 questions. What is it about? What's the author's point of view? Are there other points of view? And what's the tone? And remember, you want to capture that information really succinctly in about a maximum of about 5 words. The more succinctly you capture it, the more clearly you'll understand what the passage is about. And in the middle parts of the passage, you want to read fast and employ the fine art of blah, blah, blahing around all the stuff we don't care about. Ignore examples, ignore description and jargon. What you're trying to hone in and focus in on are declarative sentences or conclusion-y kind of sentences. Great job. And remember, the key to learning any new skill is practice, and the GRE is no exception. So keep practicing identifying the answers to those first 4 questions and writing them down super succinctly. All right, see you next time.